most people misunderstand white papers. A white paper doesn't create value on its own, it expresses value that already exists. It's an institutional level. A white paper is intellectual property that documents how a system works, who owns it, and how it can be used. But without real assets, real execution, and real authorship behind it, a white paper is just an idea on paper. White papers only function as assets when they're backed by substance. That's the part most people miss. White papers don't work in a vacuum. They only carry weight when they're backed by real assets, lived execution, and control over the work. If you don't own anything yet, a white paper is a proposal. If you do own assets, it becomes a governing document. That's the difference. I wasn't using white papers to imagine a future. I was using them to codify systems I already built. That's why evaluators took them seriously. I already had assets, art, music, creative output. That wasn't in question. What surprised lawyers, CPAs, and evaluators was the paperwork, because each document wasn't just descriptive. Each one was educational and operational, meaning someone else could use it without me being present. That only works because the assets already existed and I had sovereignty over them. The paper didn't create authority, it made authority legible. Why most people can't use white papers this way is a lot of people hear about white papers and think, oh, I'll just write one. That doesn't work. White papers don't replace execution, ownership, or lived proof. They amplify them. Without assets, a white paper is speculative. With assets and sovereignty, it becomes structural. That's why the same document can be ignored in one person's hand and valued in another's. The difference isn't the paper, it's what stands behind it. White papers aren't magic tools, they're interfaces. They translate real systems into a language institutions understand. But for that translation to work, three things must already exist: assets, authorship, control. I didn't use white papers to ask permission. I used them to define how engagement works without surrendering sovereignty. That's why they functioned as IP instead of pitches. If you're a creator, this matters. White papers don't make you legitimate, they make existing legitimacy visible.